It all started when I moved into my new flat. I had been looking for a place for ages, and I felt lucky to find this one. It's a small 2-bedroom flat in the city with a shared kitchen and living room. It was perfect for me, especially since I was starting my new job soon. Plus, the rent wasn't too expensive, which is hard to find these days. The only thing was, I had to share the flat with someone. Her name was Kate, or at least that's what the landlord told me. When I moved in, she wasn't home. I thought maybe she was away for the weekend. Her bedroom door was closed, and I didn't want to be rude, so I left it alone. The landlord said she was quiet and kept to herself. I thought that was fine. The first few days were normal. I was unpacking and getting used to my job. I didn't see much of Kate, but I wasn't worried. I'm out most of the day, so I figured she had her own routine. There were small signs that someone else was living there. Dishes in the sink, a jacket on the sofa, and the smell of perfume in the hallway. But I never saw her. One morning, I left a note on the fridge, introducing myself and saying we should grab a coffee sometime. When I got home that evening, the note was gone, but there was no reply. I wasn't too bothered. Maybe she was just shy, I thought. The days went by, and still no sign of Kate. Sometimes I heard noises from her room, soft footsteps, or the bed creaking. Once I heard her door close when I was in the living room, but when I looked, no one was there. It was starting to feel strange. How could we live in the same flat and never see each other? I mentioned it to my friend when we went out for drinks. She laughed and said maybe Kate was a night owl, only coming out when I was asleep. We joked about it, but I couldn't stop thinking how odd it was. One evening, I decided to stay in and watch some TV. I thought if Kate was home, maybe we'd finally meet. I made dinner and sat on the sofa, waiting to hear something. After an hour or two, I heard her bedroom door creak open. I sat up, ready to say hello. But then, nothing. Just silence. Another hour passed and I started feeling silly. I decided to go to bed. As I walked past her door, I noticed it was open a little. I slowed down, thinking I should knock. But something stopped me. I felt uneasy, like I shouldn't. I don't know why, but I hurried to my room and closed the door. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing small sounds, a shuffle, a click, like someone was moving around in the flat. I told myself it was Kate going to the kitchen, but it didn't sound like normal footsteps. It was too light, too quiet. The next morning, I felt tired and anxious. I decided I needed to talk to her. It didn't make sense, living with someone I had never met. That evening, I gathered some courage and knocked on her door softly. No answer. I knocked again, louder. Still nothing. "Kate?" I called. Silence. I pushed the door open a little. Just a peek, I told myself, just to see if she was there. The room was dark, and my eyes took a moment to adjust. What I saw made me freeze. The room was empty. No bed, no clothes, nothing. Just a dusty floor and blank walls. It looked like no one had lived there for a long time. I stepped back, my heart racing. How could this be? I had heard her. I had seen her things. There had been dishes in the sink, jackets on the sofa. She was here. Right? Feeling panicked, I called the landlord. I explained everything, my voice shaking. When I mentioned Kate, he paused. Then he said,
I'm sorry, but there's no one else renting the flat. You're the only tenant. Kate moved out over a year ago.
I felt cold. What do you mean? I've been hearing her, seeing her things. She's been here.
It's probably a misunderstanding,
he said, but he didn't sound sure. I hung up, my hands trembling. The flat was too quiet. I went back to the living room and sat on the sofa, staring at the empty space where her jacket used to be. And then from behind me I heard a soft whisper. Why are you still here? I froze, too afraid to turn around.